Yep, we can get started. So first of all, okay. So good morning, everyone. So thanks for joining. So today we're going to discuss about how we can make our testing. How we can make our testing of our React app. Okay, how to do that. That part we're going to see, and brief introduction about reactjs. Okay, so giving some brief about myself, I'm Venkat CH. I'm into the IT industry for the last 12 plus years. So I is currently working as an UI leading for a Quest company. So I have a around 7 plus of years experience into training. Okay, I train many of the people who is into beginner to the advanced level. Okay, including HTML, JavaScript, React, Angular, a lot of UI stuff. Okay, I'm certified Microsoft professional. I certified on JavaScript, HTML, and CSS as well as Azure also. Okay, so that's some brief about myself. Can you hear me? It's a bit low. Can you hear me now? Okay,
Yes, sir.
cool.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
Good. So, fine. So, thanks for responding, guys. So, please make this session is more interactive. So it's a free session. It's for 2 hours of a session. So it can be extended based on our discussion. If you have any questions, right? So if it is relevant to our particular discussion, you can pause me and ask. Okay. If it is something interesting, if you would like to ask it, right, you can post it in a chat. Okay. I'll take your questions from a chat and I'll respond to you based on a flow. Okay, but make the session is more interactive. Okay, so as a real-time expert, I'll try to answer how much I can for your questions. Okay, cool. Still same. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. So
Yes, sir.
okay, cool. So make the session is more interactive, guys. So it's a 2 hours of session. Okay, it can be extended again. Okay, it's all depends on you. Fine. So that's some brief about myself. I'm into the IT from the last 12 years. Okay, so I'm currently working as a UI architect. I worked on Angular, React, Vue.js. I do design architect for particular projects, how it need to be worked on microfront, and I do a lot of interesting stuff with the front end. Okay, fine. That's about myself. Okay, and today, right, so we're gonna discuss about first of all, what is React.js. Okay, so what is React.js, why we need a testing. Okay, so we do manual testing, right? So why we need a unit testing. Okay, some brief introduction about testing first of all. Then we're gonna discuss about what is importance of unit testing, how we write the unit test cases for React app, what are the libraries which we will use it. Okay, those part which we're gonna discuss. Okay, fine. So before that, how many of you already ever on a React.js? Please respond.
Sorry, sir. What is your question?
I'm asking that how many of you already working on a React.js, or how many of you familiar on React.js at least?
Yeah, I have idea, sir.
You have an idea? Good.
Yep.
Okay. Others, please respond, or please message in
Yes,
a
sir.
chat.
I do have ideas.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do, sir.
Good. Okay, so then we'll get a lot of questions. So but before that, right, I'll give you some brief. Okay, as a couple of people are not ever on React.js, right? So they might come from a testing background. How many of you are testers who is purely working on a testing, automation, manual? No one? Okay, good. So please respond. Okay, make this session is more interactive. Okay, so you can ask me a question, I'll try to respond. We'll see how we can make this session is much better in interactive mode. Fine. So first of all, in your version, what is React? Anyone?
React is a JavaScript library
React is a
which is
JavaScript
used to
library.
create web applications and mobile applications.
Yep. So React is a library to make. Go ahead.
Yeah, React is a JavaScript library to develop user interfaces
Yes.
and using the components.
Using component architecture. Yes. Okay. Any other points, guys?
React is used for make a single page application.
Yes. So why we need a React? So why can't we go with our own core JavaScript? I'm sorry, guys, I missed the recording. Guys, please continue. Why we need a React? So why can't we do with the pure JavaScript?
React support virtual DOM concept.
Yes. Yes.
Also code reusability.
Reusability. Yes. Good response, guys. Okay, fine. I'll give some glimpse about React. Okay, so first of all, what is react.js? Okay, the name itself it specifies, right? .js, react.js. Okay, that means so this is a library which is built on top of JavaScript. Who built it? Okay, it's built by whom? Facebook. Okay, so in a market, right, we have a many of a third-party libraries. Okay, libraries are framework. Let's say Angular. Angular is also one of a good framework to build a single page applications. Okay, so as well as we have a Vue.js also. In all of these three are we have a lot of other stuff also, but in a market, right, these three are leading. What are those? Angular, Facebook, and Vue. Sorry, Angular, React, and Vue. Okay, so these three frameworks are libraries which will help us to build a high scalable and rich web application. What does mean of it? Okay, what does mean of it? Let's open any of a site. Let's say we'll open a Flipkart. Flipkart is our application, okay, which is built on top of react.js. Okay, now earlier, right, if you remember, whenever you click on a something, right, it used to refresh the page. It used to refresh the page. So now if I click on something, right, it's not refreshing. Immediately I'm getting a data. Okay, immediately I'm getting a data, and which is much faster than with the comparing to the older approach. How we are able to achieve? By using what the latest libraries are a framework. It can be Angular, it can be React, it can be Vue.js. Okay, so that's the advantage. Of course, you can build with your own JavaScript also, but the way of a writing of a JavaScript need to be more standardized and need to be more reusability. Okay, so if you want to do that, yes, you can, but the effort to build such kind of a library from your end takes more time and more efforts. Instead of that, right, in a market, okay, or in a in a world wide web, right, so we have a similar libraries which build similar use cases, that is Angular, React, okay, and Vue.js. Okay, so comparing to these three, right, so React is much better. Okay, why it is much better? Okay, because it has the concept called virtual DOM. It has the concept called virtual DOM. Internally it follows an algorithm, that is virtual DOM. When it follows the virtual DOM, it will make your application much faster comparing to the other frameworks or other libraries. In short, if you go with Angular, Vue, and React, right, which is much faster? React.js is much faster. Okay, so again, what is react.js? React.js is a library to build high scalable and interactive applications. Okay, what does mean? If you see the Flipkart, right, it is built on top of react.js. Okay, whenever you click on something, immediately it's refreshing with a new data. Okay, not reloading it. Okay, immediately you're getting a response. That's what mean it as high scalable and rich web application. That means look and feel also supposed to be more interactive. That is what mean it as interactive web applications. Okay, so as this is built on the top of a JavaScript, right, so they name it as react.js. Okay, clear? Some brief about react.js. Any questions on it?
Yes.
Well, can you explain virtual DOM concept once?
Yeah, I'll explain it. Okay,
Yeah.
so now I'm digging into the core concepts of react.js. Okay, then we'll see how to install a react.js, then we'll go for a testing. Fine.
Yeah.
What is virtual DOM? Okay, what is virtual DOM? So DOM, everyone aware on what is DOM?
Document object model.
Document object model. That means in a developer tools. Okay, what is developer tools? This is a developer tool. You can right click and inspect. Okay, or shortcut F9. Okay, now if you open your elements, whatever you are able to see, this is what we call it as DOM, document object model. Okay, which contains what? Your tags, IDs, some attributes, all the stuff. Okay, now so tell me, whenever I click on here, what it is happening? My DOM is rendering. Yes or no?
Yep.
Okay, my DOM is rendering. So that means when you go with the real DOM, whenever you do a change, your whole DOM need to be replaced. Okay, your whole DOM need to be replaced or re-rendered. Okay, but when you go with the virtual DOM, okay, let's say you have a three div tags. You have a three div tags. Okay, now let's say you have a change in only one particular DOM or only one particular div. What happens, right? Instead of replacing whole three div elements, it will replace only the updated one, only the updated one. So that's what internally virtual DOM do. Let's show you one diagram. Okay, you see, so what is this? So this is your virtual DOM. Okay, that means what internally React does it, right? So whenever you have a DOM, let me now down here DOM. Okay, whenever React comes in a picture, right, what it will do, it will take a copy of your real DOM. Okay, now if you do any changes, okay, what it will do, your copy of a DOM, let's say this is virtual DOM. Okay, so any changes in your code, so first of all those going to be affect in your virtual DOM. Okay, now this virtual DOM take care of responsibility of comparing the actual DOM, then whatever difference changes, okay, those only going to update into real DOM. Those only going to update real DOM or actual DOM. With this, you are optimizing, okay, number of re-renderings. Okay, number of re-renderings or number of DOM need to be updated, right? Those also you're going to update. Let's say you have a div tag, you have a p tag, let's say you have a h1 tag, you have a b tag. Okay, so this is actual DOM. Now, so you took a copy of a virtual DOM. Now, so let's say you did a change in only in a b tag. Okay, then it will check the difference between, let's say this is a b tag which is updated one. Okay, now it will check the real DOM. It will check the real DOM, whatever which is updated, right? That is only going to be replaced instead of replacing whole stuff. Okay, that is what your virtual DOM going to be. Okay, do clear on virtual DOM.
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, so who written this algorithm? Okay, so it's again by the Facebook. Facebook has a virtual algorithm which is running in your browser, which will take care of all this re-rendering process. Okay, cool. So we're done with the virtual DOM, and next one is what? JSX. Okay, JSX and component lifecycle. What is this JSX? Okay, so before going with some more deeper of react.js, so someone can tell what are the prerequisites to learn react.js?
JavaScript or TypeScript.
TypeScript or JavaScript, and HTML is not required.
Yeah, it's required.
It's required. Okay, so when you go with the react.js, the mandatory one to learn, right? HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now we are in a large applications we are using TypeScript. Okay, we are using TypeScript. Okay, so guys, one update. So in a chat, right, you see a WhatsApp group. Okay, join in that WhatsApp group to get to know the latest course updates. We are starting a one more batch. Okay, one more React.js batch. So is on 3rd of August. That is on a morning 7:30. Okay, if you guys are
Who
interested
is
to get
the
it registered.
instructor for this, sir?
Sorry,
Instructor. Who is the instructor for
I
this?
am only the instructor.
Oh, great, sir.
Okay, so I'm only the instructor. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can join in that WhatsApp group. I will be in that WhatsApp group. Okay, you can ask me any of the questions if you have. Okay,
Okay, sir, will do.
good.
But sir, on our 14 version, there are no required TypeScript link, right, sir?
No, you need a TypeScript. Okay, so no, though it is 14 or 16 or 18, right? You need a TypeScript. So by default, React.js is built on top of JavaScript only. Okay.
Okay.
Is there any specific concepts we need to understand on JavaScript, especially, something like a promises, function, something, very much important for the React?
Okay, okay, right.
Functions and classes.
Right. So see, first of all, right, to understand a React.js, we need to understand the core concept of a React.js as well as advanced features of React.js. That does not mean that, we don't need to learn about functions, loops. Okay. So those are okay. Anyhow, we are aware on. Okay. When we are coming from any programming background, can be Java or .NET, right, you might ever on. But to understand the depth of a React.js, you should ever on functional programming. Okay, what is that? Functional programming. What is functional programming? How higher order function works, callback closure, all this stuff, right? Which is required. Okay, so that is what we're gonna discuss. So in our regular sessions. Okay, so in our regular sessions, we will discuss the core of a JavaScript, and once we are done, we'll discuss the advanced JavaScript, including functional programming, asynchronous program, as someone said, the promises. Okay, what is promises hell, promises chain, all the stuff we will discuss. Then we'll get started into react.js. Okay, in a react.js also, right, we do interesting stuff. You see, we do a real-time projects. Okay, let me show you one of a project what we do it. Guys, we are deviating. I just want to show you what we implemented. Later on, right, we can get started again into our the concept.
So, sir, you started new batch. So, which version you will cover?
Latest version, everything with the latest only.
So,
React
it's
18.
totally all of function based, right, sir?
It's purely it's a function based. But before that, right, as I used to take interviews, in interviews I used to ask, what is different between class based component, function based components? Okay, so to answer that, first of all, we should have experience. That's the reason, right? We will discuss what is class component and what is the life cycle of a component. Then we'll see a drawback of a class based component. Then we go with a functional component. But recommended to use a functional component only. But we need to answer it, right? Why we need to answer it? Because you are not going to work on every project which is not from a scratch or not from a latest version. Sometimes you need to work on an existing project which is purely on a class based also. Okay, so to capable of do the both of the things, we should ever on the class based component and function based components. Okay, that's the reason, right, we'll discuss those.
Yes, sir, in my company they are using React.js with Next.js.
Yep. See, so if your company is using in that way, right, if you have a questions, we can discuss. Okay, so in a current batch I'm not discussing a Next.js, but if
So,
you want,
is the difference between sir React.js and Next.js?
see, very simple, the server side rendering. Okay, so we will discuss later on. Okay, I'll tell you some glimpse about what is server side rendering, what is advantage of it.
Okay, so means Next.js is server side.
No, server side rendering. Okay, it's a client side only, but there is a concept called server side rendering.
Okay.
Okay, so that will help you to make your application is more SEO friendly, as well as there is a lot of features which will help you server side rendering. Okay, in terms of security and a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Cool. So this is one project, guys. So what we implemented, as well as so we are planning a one more project. So at the end of a batch, right, we would like to do this project. That means the end-to-end behavior. Okay, so login, sign up. Okay, so as well as once you sign up, right, you're supposed to select the role. Okay, based on a role, you will able to navigate to the respective page. We need to restrict it. Okay, so how we work in a real time, those all cases and real time projects, right, which I'm going to discuss. So in this project, right, so we are going to use the material UI, react router, redux. Not only this, if we started in a much better way and digging into much wider, right, so we'll discuss some of other third party modules also. Okay, and we did a one more project, SPA, single page application. This is your profile page. Let's say everyone used to follow your own resume, right, which is papered one or soft copy. But now, so we developed a project. Let's remove this logic. We implemented authentication. Okay, so
Sir, will you teach backend also? I mean, Node.js, Express, that things.
no, so I'm not going to teach that. So at present of a batch, targeting only into React and integrating a React application with a Spring Boot and integrating a React application with a Node.js. That part which we're gonna discuss.
Okay.
Let's comment
So
this.
duration of this React courses?
Duration of the React course is right 2 months.
Sir, will you cover debugging skills also, right, sir?
Yes, yes. If you see, right, so you have an extension called Redux, okay, and we have an extension called Component. This all we're going to discuss.
Actually, that is important, right, sir? Actually, we have to learn.
Obviously, right? So as a real-time expert, we do in that way only. The reason we added a project, right? So in our codes, right, every time we used to write a code from our hands, okay, not copy pasting something. Why we need to go in that approach, right? When I'm writing something, sometimes I used to stuck. Okay, so when I stuck it, how I'm resolving that issue, that is also help you.
Yes.
Okay, so that's how we're going to work. Okay, the project, right, what we plan for a duration of 1 week. Okay, so splitting into multiple tasks and working on it. Okay, because we're almost done the course, so this is how we're going to work in this batch, right? So let's say sometimes we add some other features that might it get extend the hours also, that's fine, but by the end of it, right, you guys need to be understandable how the react.js works. In your resume you're supposed to add, yes, I worked around 1 to 2 years of experience on a react.js. Though learning it as a 2 months of a course, you should have some confidence, yes, I am capable of handling a 2 years of experience. Okay, that's the agenda of a course. Okay, cool. Let me show you this one. So
Sir,
in our
a small question, sir. Can I ask?
tell me.
Sir, actually, most of the people tell that JavaScript is not a programming language; it is a scripting language, and TypeScript is a programming language. So, what is that difference between them?
Just a second, I'll answer it. Okay, right. So this is one of our project, guys. So what we implemented, it's a single page application with a dynamic routing. Okay, so nothing but, so you land into your home page, you will see about us, okay, and list of skills whatever you have, and you are rating yourself. And when you click on a front end technology, you'll see front end technologies. When you click on back end technologies, you'll see back end technologies. And when you go to the projects, a list of a projects what you worked on, you are able to see. And click on a see more, you will see project detail about it. Okay, what is project title, description, that's what we implemented. And go to the contact us, it's a sending information. Okay, if someone want to reach out to you, right, you will able to do it. Okay, it's a purely from a client side, so we haven't implemented any backend. So but coming to this project, right, we implemented a backend. That means calling an API and showing the list of our products, and we click on add to cart, right, you see you got a toaster. And as well as, right, you will see over here the product what you added in a cart. Okay, you can see in this.
Sir, these projects are developed by using configurable way only, right, sir? By using JSONs.
Not JSON, this is actually API. Okay, if you see a network, right, you can get to know. If you refresh, so you see we put a debuggers whenever we have an issue. Okay, that's the reason when I open developer tools, the previous debuggers are showing. That means, so in our session, right, we're going to discuss in that way only. Okay, not directly rendering it. You see, we call an API called products, okay, which is a sample data. Okay, so whatever JSON which we are getting here, we are able to show.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Understood?
Yeah.
Cool. I'll answer one question, guys, then let's move into the topic. Okay, so if you have any other questions, right, we will discuss regarding the course. Okay, we'll discuss it at the end. Okay, fine. So again, I'm repeating, guys, so we are starting a new batch, probably from the 3rd of August, that is on a morning. So everything is into real time. If you guys are interested, right, please join an above WhatsApp group, okay, to get the latest updates. So when we are going to start the batch, okay, so everything, the duration of a course and everything you will get to know. That is going to handle by me only. Okay, so that's it. And to answer another question, right, as someone asking that, JavaScript is a scripting language, TypeScript is a programming language. That's what your question, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. See, first of all, TypeScript is not a programming language. Okay, I can show you in official documentation itself. Okay. Okay. What is that? TypeScript is a JavaScript with a syntax for types. Simple. Okay. That means on the top of a JavaScript, JavaScript is what is a programming language, which is one type of what scripting. What does mean of a scripting? So any of a programming language runs only on a browser. We call it as scripting language. That's the reason, right? PHP also scripting language, which runs on a browser. Okay, but Java we're not calling it a scripting language. Okay, so that's what meaning at scripting. So in short, JavaScript is a purely programming language which has the features of DOM manipulation and object-oriented programming and core programming, nothing but functions and all the stuff. So nowadays we are able to achieve the server-side program with the help of JavaScript, but you need to add an add-on called Node.js. Then only you can do a server-side programming. Okay, that's what. But what is the TypeScript? When you're writing some JavaScript, right, there is a possibility of misusing the JavaScript features. Okay, especially with the types. Nothing but the advantage. I'll give you some glimpse. Let's say I create a variable called a, and in the next line or some other lines that I'm using a string. So this kind of issues will get it in a JavaScript. But when you go with the TypeScript, right, being TypeScript is compiler driven. That means you need to write your code. It need to be compiled. So then it need to be rendered. Okay, that means whenever you write a code that need to be converted into JavaScript, while converting it, right, it will throw an error. So let's say in a TypeScript we have what types. That type you will mention like this. Okay, number. So it's saying that number. Now in a next line or other couple of other lines, right, if you added anything as a string, okay, it will throw an error. So that you can stop runtime errors by using a TypeScript. Okay, that's the advantage. On a top of it, right, there is a namespaces approach, interfaces approach, modules approach in a TypeScript. But TypeScript is not a programming language directly. Okay, it's an add-on to the JavaScript. Okay, did I answer the question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, right. Let's move on to our session, guys. Fine. So, right, what are the prerequisites to learn react.js? So, in a react.js, right, so we're going to use, the prerequisites for react.js is what? HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, so if you go with Angular kind of libraries, right, you just need a 50% knowledge on JavaScript. Okay, 50% knowledge on HTML. But when it comes to React kind of libraries, you need to have a knowledge of 80% of a JavaScript, 20% of HTML. Why? Because in a React.js application, right, there is no .html. Okay, everything what we're gonna write it's going to be either .jss or .tsx. I'll show you one. You see here .tsx. You'll see here .tsx. That means in a JavaScript file itself, you're going to write HTML. Okay, so JSX means JavaScript XML. Okay, that's the reason, right? You should aware on the 80% of our JavaScript and 20% of HTML. Okay, and one more thing, right? We are going to use the component lifecycle. What is that? Component. Okay, what does mean of a component? What is advantage of that? So if you see the Flipkart site itself, right? Everything is purely component driven. What does mean of a component? Anyone? What is a component?
Usable
part of it's a function or a class.
It's a function or a class. Okay.
Reusable component, reusable code.
Reusable code. Now, if you see the header of a Flipkart, right? You'll see there is a one simple component. Okay, which is configurable actually. So how I can say it's a configurable? Because here you are unable to see the drop down, but here you're able to see. Okay, that means based on a data, right? It is showing it the next drop down or not a drop down. Okay, if you build a one component which shows the image and a text along with this drop down, you can reuse it in multiple places. You see? Okay, that's the advantage of component behavior. This component behavior or component architecture, right, which is there in Angular and Vue also. Okay, there is no difference between other three frameworks in a React. Okay, but the difference, the way of writing, when you go with Angular, so there is approach, you create a component with including .css, HTML, and .ts. But here you go with only .tsx. There is no HTML file. Okay, in short, in Angular you're going to contain 4 files, but here it's going to contain 3 files. Okay, so and each component having the its own life cycle. What does mean of a life cycle and what is importance of it, right? We'll see in our regular sessions. Okay, so in short, right? So to identify what is the status of rendering of a component, okay, according to that we can write some logic. That's what is mean of component life cycle. Let's say component is rendered perfectly, I need to head a loader. Okay, because I want to show some loader, if it is taking more time, I can identify the status of it. I can do some business logic. Okay, that's what we can achieve with a component life cycle. Okay. Next one, state management. What does mean of a state management? Let's say you would like to pass a data from one component to another component. Okay, let's say in our use case, right? Localhost 4000. Okay, now when you click on add to cart, what I would like to do in a cart, I would like to show the data. Okay, how can I achieve this one, guys? Anyone from a JavaScript or anyone from a Angular background? Can you guys tell me?
So sharing the data
Use
from
it.
child to parent.
State management using
Yeah,
the statement.
using state management. So as someone said, right? So passing a data to your parent component, nothing but props. Okay, nothing but props. So if you go with the props, right? What is the problem?
To share the innermost child
So
component.
in a React, there is no approach to share the data from child to parents.
Yes. Okay. So you see, right? Okay. If you go with the Redux, so which is easier. When you go with the without Redux, if you would like to share the data from here to here, you need to touch all the nested components of a parent, and then only you can access. That is the problem. When you go with the Redux approach, you will create a global object. Okay. With the help of a global object, you can easily communicate. Okay, because you will push the data into global object has a responsibility, whoever subscribed with the data, so it will pass the data to the subscribed components. Okay, that is what we can achieve with our state management. Okay, so state management can be achieved in a different ways in a React. One is by using a core context API which is given by the React. Another one, Redux toolkit. Okay, so we used to discuss both of them. Okay, what is the advantage of the context API, what is the advantage of the text toolkit, which one is recommended? Okay, that is also we're gonna see. And next and the last one is what? Reusability. Now tell me, so if you go with the component behavior, is it reusable or not?
Yes, it is.
Okay, another advantage, especially with React.js, if you build a React.js application with a good architecture, so the same application or the same code can be reusable into React Native also. That means the same core logic of 80% of your code can be used for mobile application. Okay, so that means you're getting a 1+1. So if you learn React.js, if you're good in it, okay, so you can use the same code in a React Native also to build mobile applications. Understood? So that's the one of advantage with React. Okay, any
When you
questions so
say
far?
mobile, when you say mobile application, it's app based or just only rendering on the browser?
No, it's app. It's a native app.
Oh,
Okay, it's not rendering on a browser. So there is a couple of applications you can see, this uh, gigs for gigs. Okay, so if you install the app, right, it will give an emulator kind of a browser, but internally it will render your website only. Okay, not that. Okay, those somewhat we call it as hybrid application, but not that. So by using a React.js, right, so we have a other concept called React Native. By using that we can build a native application. Got it?
After React, if
I have
you
one question.
Tell me.
So in a market, there is a Angular also available. So how to decide which technology is good for project?
Okay.
When we go for React or when we go for Angular.
Okay, so guys, I'll give a 5 to 10 minutes of a time to answer your question. So once you're done, right, we'll go with the testing, because I given some glimpse about React. So then next, right, we're going to install a React app. Okay, so to answer your question, right, so in a market we have a Angular JS, Vue.js, or React JS. There is a Next.js, lot of other frameworks. How to decide? That's your question, right?
Yes.
Okay, so very simple. First of all, first thing which you need to consider, right? What is your resource capability? Okay, let's say you have a project, you have a 10 resources who is having good knowledge on a react.js or good knowledge on a javascript at least, who are capable of update themselves in a react.js in a much faster way. Then you can start react.js. Highly recommended to go with the react.js because react.js has a feature of virtual DOM as well as it's a library. Okay, so what does mean of a library? When it is a library, right? So you have a flexibility where you can add whatever stuff you want. Okay, nothing but when you compare with Angular, right? So guys, please be in a mute. Okay, if you're not talking. So if you have any question, right, you can unmute yourself, then you can ask me. Okay, right. So being an Angular is a framework, right? Angular framework will give you all the stuff to start your application. Okay, nothing but your API calls by using HTTP client, your routing by using ng router. Okay, a lot of stuff which is built in an Angular framework. But when it comes to React is a library. It's kind of opinionated. Nothing but I want to go with MVC architecture, I can build it. I want to go with factory pattern, I can go ahead. That's up to me how I want to go ahead. Okay, so but it's all depends on your resources capability and as well as your timelines. If your resources are good in a react, okay, you can go to start it. Okay, otherwise if they are good in a angular, so if you don't have a particular time, okay, or if you're in a rush, then obviously you need to start a angular. But it's recommended to go ahead with react because you can also tell the reasons. One is your application performance. Another one, you can customize in a much better way. Another one, the 80% of a code can be reusable for mobile application. Okay, that's the advantage. Got it?
Yes.
Okay,
So,
now right at present of a market, 80% of a new applications are getting started with the react.js. Okay, so so Vue.js also much better, but comparing to the documentation point of view or support point of view, right? So comparing to these three, okay, all these three are good, guys. In terms of documentation, other stuff is good, but in a leading, again we need to select which one is leading, right? In that, React is good. Okay, any other questions?
Sir, is that virtual DOM feature only in React or it is also in Angular review?
In Angular, it's not there. In a Vue.js, it's there. Okay. In a Vue.js, there is a concept called shadow DOM also. But if you ask me personally, right, I like Vue.js also.
Sir, UJS is outdated.
It's not outdated. It's trying to come in a limelight. Okay, but it's not.
Present version UJS.
Sorry?
Latest version UJS.
It's a 3. It's a 3.
3.
Okay. So it's trying to come in a limelight, but it's unable to come. Very simple reason. Okay, because it's a Chinese product built by the Chinese developer, and as well as right, Angular and React is supported by the leading market. Okay, so one is provided by the Google and the one is provided by the Facebook, but Vue.js is not. Vue.js is from only one person and open
Yeah,
source
that's why I'm
community.
asking you.
Okay, so in that case, right, who will
But
be responsible?
Node.js.
Sorry.
Node.js is backend.
Okay.
Bro,
So
Node.js is backend.
Okay, if you have any questions, you can ask me. So Node.js is not, guys, not a server side. Okay, Vue.js I'm talking about. Vue, V-U-E. Okay, that is also good, but the developers or the companies are not interested to move on a Vue.js because the support also matters. Okay, maybe the startups may tried it, but the large product-based company, right, they still don't take a risk. Okay, why do you take a risk? Because we already have a leading product in the market. That's the reason, right? Again, they'll take a decision on Angular and React. In that also, most of the people go for React. Cool. So let's get started the testing. So before that, right, let's install the React.js project. Okay, and then we can start it. So how to install a React.js project? Very simple. In a market, right, we have many of our options, okay, to install a React app, but much wider one is what? Create React app. Much one is what? Create React app. Okay, this create React app has internal flexibility, with all the production ready setup. Okay, all the production ready setup. How we can install? Okay, very simple. First of all, right, you need to have in your local Node.js. You need to install the Node.js. Once you install the Node.js, right, then only you can run this setup. Okay, so first you need to install the Node.js, and second you need to run this command npm install -g create react app. Okay, once you run this command, right, what will happen internally in your local, okay, you have a capability of creating your react app. Okay, as I already installed, right, so I don't need to install. If you are the first time runner, right, so then go and install the Node.js. If you have installed the Node.js, that's fine. Okay, so I recommend to use the Node.js latest version. Okay, cool. So once you have the project, or once you install the Node.js,
So what is the -g, bro?
-g is a global.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say in your application, right, or sorry, in your local, you might have multiple users, right, in your laptop. Okay, if you
Okay.
want to make it allow for all the users, you can go with -g. It's recommended when you go with this kind of libraries.
Okay.
Okay, now let's create a project. Let's close all the stuff. Okay, so I created a folder called react unit testing. Here itself we'll create a project. React unit. Okay, I'm just naming it as react unit. Now what will happen, right, so by using this create react app, it will take all the dependencies from a npm to our local, including folder structure. Okay, including a folder structure. Just a second, guys. So if you want to use a TypeScript, right, for sure you need to tell, okay, what is the okay template you want to go ahead with a TypeScript, or you want to go ahead with a JavaScript. You need to tell that. Okay, it's already created. So how I got to know? Because you see, right, either try to use a new directory name or remove the files which is listed above. Okay, so when you run the default like this, what will happen, right, it will create a JavaScript version. It will create a JavaScript version. If you're looking for TypeScript, right, you need to tell like this. What is that? Extra command, that template, okay, a TypeScript. Okay, then it will create a folder structure, everything as per the TypeScript standards. Okay, so let's wait some time, so it will get installed. Okay, so before that, before getting started into running application, so clear so far? Any questions do you have?
No, sir. Good.
Sir, as you told, 80% of the coding are directly converted into mobile app in react.js. So same way, how it is possible from AngularJS, sir?
You need to write your own extra logic, because Angular by default not having a native feature, right? So you need to go with either Ionic. Okay, and now this .NET also provides this code or something is there, right? In that way you can need to.
Sir, actually, what is the different? What is meant by React Native and the React.js is a framework we are developing.
See, very simple. React.js is a library. When you use the React.js, you'll go for a web application. Okay, nothing but which runs on a browser. When you go with React Native, which runs on a mobile, like how our native apps works, right? Or Flipkart, Amazon, which we installed in our mobile apps, similar way.
So to learning React Native, is it mandatory to learn Android Studio, something about that?
Sorry, sir, come again.
So after React.js, if I want to learn the React Native, is it mandatory to learn something related to mobile app like Android Studio?
It's part of our React Native itself. When you're learning React Native, right? So we need to build an application which is compatible for iOS and Android. So as part of it, right, we'll see how your Android simulator works. Okay, how iOS works, what are the configuration is required. That part also. Okay, so we need to discuss, because by the end you need to host your application, right? So how do you host it and how do you test it? Okay, when it is a web application, we'll go to the browser and test it, but not in a native, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
What are the concepts we need to know, sir, before learning this?
We will discuss, as part of our session, right? We have a good concept, which is, I told you earlier, functional programming is required. Okay, so once we started our batch, right, if you are interested, so there we're gonna discuss the basics to advanced level. As I told you, you're supposed to have confidence that at least 2 years of experience. That part we're gonna see. Any other? Cool.
Sir, in your previous project, you shown extension is TXT. What is it? Actually, we are giving TSX now. You are writing TSX.
Your voice is breaking, Venkata.
Sir, for developing Android applications, we are installing Android Studio. Same way for developing a React Native mobile applications, whether we need to install React Native in our system, sir.
Obviously, the dependencies, right? Whatever it is required, we need to install.
Oh, is the editor like this, sir? A React Native, is it editor like
You
this?
can go ahead with the VS Code also, not a problem.
Okay.
Okay,
But
so we install the project, guys. Let's hold on for some time. Okay, we'll answer the question at the end. Okay, so our project is installed. Okay, if you have any questions specific to React and unit testing, right, you can ask me. Okay, if it is out of your what we planned, right, you can ask me at the end. Okay, cool. Yep, we install the project. Now opening a project and we are running the project. npm run start. This is the command to start your React project. Okay, once we run it, right? So before that, we'll go to the project structure.
Sir, in this project, can you use JavaScript libraries? Actually, you use TypeScript, right?
We can use a JavaScript also, not a problem. Okay, as most of the people, recommend to use the TypeScript, right? We are creating a project called TypeScript. Okay,
but better understand way JavaScript is now understand. So in this time,
not that much rocket science, man. So first of all, right, the logic what we're going to write it, that's purely in a JavaScript only. It's not that TypeScript. If you use a type, it's going to TypeScript. Very simple. Okay, so if you're not using a type, that's fine. It's a purely JavaScript. Don't think that it's a different language. If you see this, you can tell me. So does it looks like a JavaScript or a TypeScript? This is a function. You are returning a the HTML object. That's it. Okay, nothing with the TypeScript. Okay, just the naming convention is there. .tsx. The why they given a .tsx because you can add the capabilities of a TypeScript in your code. That's it. Okay, cool. Right, so we started the project. So when you install this create React app, right, by default you'll get this folder structure as well as this is the output. Okay, this is the output what we're gonna get it. Okay, now if you understand the folder structure, right, very simple. So if you see in a package.json, the required dependencies to run this application, right, we'll get it in our package.json. Okay, and next src, the first navigation goes to index.tsx. Okay, as well as, right, if you see the folder, let's say you have an app component. App is the one component and it contains the .css and it contains the .test file also. Now we're going to target about this test file. Okay, what is this test file? What are the dependencies to run? How to run the test code? That part which we're gonna discuss. Okay, cool. So let's stick into the testing. So if you have any questions specific to testing, right, you can ask me. If you have any generic questions, right, you can ask me at the end. So here, right, we are going to write a JavaScript in a TypeScript file. It's not we're going to use the purely TypeScript. Okay, just extension is a .ts or .tsx. Fine. Okay, so we started a project. Okay, we're able to see the output. Okay, any questions how to install?
No, sir. Sir, actually, what is the difference between package.json and package.lock.json?
Okay, very simple. So in your package.json, right, you will see the list of versions. Okay, whatever it is needed as per your part of your project. You see here the cap symbol. The cap symbol meant it as whenever you do npm install, take the latest versions. Okay, nothing but the latest minor version, not the major version. That's what the information which contained in a package.json. But in a package.json, whether the package is installed or not, that information would be there, as well as what is the version of it. The exact version which is installed in your local, that is also would be there, and the peer dependencies. Okay, this is your major dependencies. The peer dependencies can be many actually. Let's say to install a React, right? If you go and see the React, okay, you need a Babel also. Okay, the peer dependencies, right? You can see in your package.json. In short, package.json, which contains the the whole information of installed packages, which contains the
Sir,
version.
your voice is very low, sir. Can you please little bit speak?
Is it better now?
Yeah, now better.
Okay, fine. So what is package.json meant it as? It's going to contain what are the packages which are installed in your local, what is the version of it, what are the peer dependencies, these three things which is going to contain in your package.json. Okay, so that's it. In short, package.json, the major dependencies, package log.json going to contain the nested dependencies or peer dependencies, including the versions. Got it?
Yes, sir. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So we started a project, we're able to run. Okay, now move into testing. Okay, how many of you from a testing background? How many of you written the testing for Angular? Anyone? What is testing, guys? Tell me why we need a testing.
To see expected result is coming or not.
We do manual testing, right? So that means whenever we do a change, so we'll go to the browser, we'll check whether it is working or not. Yes or no?
Yep.
Okay, then why we need this kind of testing? If you see in a IT, we have this many of testings. Okay, so anyone, can someone read it for me?
Yeah, regression testing, system testing, unit testing, integration testing, sanity, smoke testing, acceptance testing, functional security testing, load testing, performance end-to-end, and compatibility testing.
We have this many of testings, man. We do just go to the browser and test it whether our piece of code is working or not.
Yeah.
Okay, but why we need this many of testing? First of all, why we need a testing, and that too that is automated. Okay, not a manual. Manual meant it as, right, we'll go to the browser and test. Okay, when I click on this one, I'm able to get this loader or not. Okay, when I click on something, I'm able to get a data or not. Okay, that part we usually test. Then why we need a automated? Okay, why we need this different type of a testing, which is a system testing, unit testing, integration testing? Why? By the end, we are the humans. There is a possibility of do a mistake. Yes or no? We are not a machines, right? That means we don't have an accuracy of 100%. If you write a good quality of a code also, there is a very less possibility to miss something. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's what we're gonna cover, this whole testing. Okay, in short, let's say you have a component, so where it is rendering based on an input. Okay, let's say if you give a different input, without knowledging of you, or someone did an accidental change, who will be the responsibility? Okay, so the person felt that okay, it is working fine, but the core logic, okay, as you implemented, it is getting break. Who will get to know, yes, this is breaking or this is not working? So someone need to help you, right? Let's say Abhishek is in current company, he's written some component, okay, which is working fine. He left the company, some other person came in a picture, and he written some logic which is breaking the code. Okay, as Abhishek is not in a company, how we can track that what is the change and why it is breaking? We need to do a lot of testing. Okay, lot of debugging, then only we can get to know. So that is the problem. Okay, so to solve that problem, right, whoever write the component, or whoever write some piece of a code, the person need to write the test cases. Okay, what are that test cases? That is what we call it as, we call it as simply unit testing. We call it as unit testing. Okay, we will discuss. So what is this regression testing, some system test. I'll give us some glimpse about it. Okay, but you got it right. What is the importance of a testing? Okay, so manual job we do, okay, as well as, right, we need to automate our code. Okay, what is the behavior of it, what is the expectation of the particular component, how it is working. So that part we need to do. Then only, right, your code would be more accurate, okay, and with the quality. Then only it will work in a much better way. Okay. First of all, what is regression? Anyone, what is regression testing? Okay, usually, right, whenever we develop an application, okay, that application goes for a deployment. Yes or no? What does mean of a deployment? Anyone?
We need to move the application into server side, sir.
Yes, that means we develop it in our local, someone need to use it, right? Okay, let's say if you see the similar example with the Flipkart, we did some feature here. Okay, so add some border to this component. So someone need to test it. Okay, yes, I did this change. So it need to be working or not, either it is breaking some extra logic or other logic, right? We need to know. As part of that one, we call it as, right? So, or we do that regression testing, nothing but existing feature only, we'll test it with the new features, whether the existing feature is breaking or not. Okay, that is the mindset when you do a regression. Okay, the name itself, it says repetitive. Okay, that's what we call it as repetitive. We call regression testing. Okay, so integration testing. What does mean of integration testing? So everyone, how many of you working people here?
Yes,
Everyone.
yes.
Okay. Now in your use case, you might have upstream partner or downstream partner. Yes or no? That means you will give us some data to your downstream partner, nothing but who will take the data from your side, okay, or who will give a response to you. Let's say APIs. Okay. APIs will give a data to you. You'll take the data and render it. Okay. Now you will push the data to the API. Now, if you want to test both the flows in a single shot, okay, that's what we call it as integration testing. Okay, let's say in a Flipkart, again, in a Flipkart, when you go for a payment, right, do you still in a Flipkart website, or do you navigate to the any other payment gateway?
It is navigating to payment gateway like Google Pay.
Yes. Now tell me, if you do from a Flipkart testing, okay, so who will be the responsible of payment gateway testing? In a payment gateway point of view, there is a possibility to do a hack and change the value to something else. Let's say you order for a 10 rupees and the person as the hacker, right, has added the cart of 1,000 rupees. Okay, then what will happen? Your amount will be deducted more, but you by the end you will get a product of 10 rupees worth. Okay, that means the end-to-end testing with the integrations, right? We call it as integration testing, or upstream partner or downstream partner. Okay, so we need to validate the total flow. Okay, so that's what specifically is called as integration testing. Okay, so next one is, right, so which is very important, that is end-to-end testing. The end-to-end flow of application, nothing but we developed an application, okay, which has contained the upstream partner or downstream partner, okay, as well as it has the flow to navigate to the customer website. From a customer website, you need to navigate to the current application, the whole flow of an application, guys, simple. Okay, so that is what we call it as end-to-end testing. Okay, we have a lot of different types, okay, but in a majorly, right, what we're going to use, we're going to use regression, unit testing, integration testing, and end-to-end testing, and performance testing. Okay, what is performance testing? Very simple. When you build an application, it need to be much faster than comparing to the previous one. Okay, when you added some logic, so your application is taking more time to get load. Okay, let's say you have an API. So do you need to build an API is much faster response, or is it okay to get a load, some slow also?
We need a faster response.
We need a faster response. How can you, validate that is much faster or not? Let's say you did some change, okay, which is doing a lot of calculations, okay, which is working fine now, but now it is getting break. How you can validate? By using what? Performance testing. See, very simple, guys. We have a many of type of a testing, 13 type of a testing. All depends on a use case. What is your use case? Okay, you are testing an application which is working fine earlier. Now as new feature is added, okay, whether it is breaking the existing changes or working fine, that is the use case for regression. Okay, to test two upstream partners or downstream partner, we do integration testing. Okay, the complete flow of an application we call it as end-to-end testing. Okay, performance testing nothing but to test whether your application is specific to whether it is much faster. Okay, is any lag in loading an application? Okay, now tell me, if you're loading a data for 10 MB from a API, so rendering from a UI, will it take up a load or not? Will it take up performance or not?
It will perform.
Because you're trying to load a 10 MB of a data from an API. Okay, so and render that in in your browser, obviously take a time. Okay, that is a performance impact. Earlier it used to work fine, now it is breaking. Earlier it used to take a 1 second of a time, now it is taken 10 second of a time. You need to have that measures. Okay, when you go for a large scale application, right, every second or microseconds also matter. Those all the stuff, right, will embedded with this 13 type of a testings. Okay, API testing is simple. So you need to validate how your API is working as per expected behavior or not. Okay, so that is the behavior which we do. So to do of all these testings, right? Right, please be in a mute if you don't have any question. In a market, right, we have a lot of testing frameworks, guys. So in a UI side we have a Cypress. Okay, in a React we have a Jest. Okay, Selenium is one of our top end-to-end testing framework. Okay, lot of stuff. Cool. So good. Got some idea what is the testing? What are the different types of a testing? Any questions on it?
No, sir.
Good. Okay. Now we'll move to unit testing. What is unit testing? As we targeted for unit testing, right? So we'll discuss about unit testing. What is unit testing? Okay. Someone can read it for me. Prakash, do you have any question?
Yes, sir, I have one question. So I want to know which is the very famous testing, which is very popular amongst so is there any testing or regression or?
It's all depends on your organization. Okay, and how your application or your product is important to you. Okay, so usually, right, when there is a startup company, we never read these test cases because we work on what the business logic. Okay, so you need to hand over to the customer the business logic, right? Not the test cases. Test cases will give the quality of a code. Simple. Okay, if you don't have a business logic which is important, right, then what is the point of having a test cases?
Correct.
Okay. So in that mean it as first of all, your business logic is high priority, and next is your testing. So when you go for a testing also, first of all, you need to write a unit test cases. That is important. Okay, because you need to validate how your code works. That is the first step. And once you're done, right, the next step is what? Integration testing. The priority was I'm talking about. Okay, integration testing. So integration testing means, let's say, even that is also depends on. That means if you have a downstream partner or upstream partner, then only go for integration. Otherwise, it's not required. So then next step is end-to-end testing. Okay, so that means priority goes to unit testing. If you have an upstream partner, downstream partner, then go for integration testing. Otherwise, go for end-to-end testing. These are important. Okay, so all others are right. It's all how you want to make your application in much quality. Okay, so let's say what is compatibility testing. So I am writing an application which you'd like to compatible for all the browsers as well as all the OS. Okay, so sometimes, right, applications won't work in a Linux system. I would like to test before getting released. Then in that case, right, I go for compatibility testing. But if you don't have a use case such that, right, no, not required. Got it? Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir. Very well. Thank you.
Yep, good. So in short, guys, very simple. Improving the quality of your code, we are going to achieve with this testing. That's it. Okay, so we have variety of a testing. It's all depends on your company or your organization, how they want to stabilize your product. Okay, and in another way, right, these all things comes when a product is in maintenance mode. Okay, not in a development mode. In a development mode, no, we go and run to develop business logic. We don't care about this testing. If you have a time, then you will. Otherwise, we used to rush to develop business logic. Okay, cool. So what is unit testing? Okay, so someone can read it for me. What is unit testing? Whatever mentioned here.
In unit testing, individual components or units of code are tested in isolation mode to verify that they function working as expected or not. It involves testing the smallest unit of code, such as functions or methods, to ensure they produce the expected output for given inputs or not. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you understand from this?
If we want to test individual components that we have written, that is expected or not with isolation mode. That's what we have tested.
Tell me, what is unit?
Small piece of code.
Small piece of code. When you go for a stalks, when you go for some, even the kilograms and all this stuff, right, we call it as units. Okay, the small piece or small chunk. Okay, so that's what meant it as unit. That means we are going to divide our code. Anyhow, when you go with the React, you will divide your code into components. Now, inside a components also, so you're going to test particular feature. Let's say on a click on a button, I'd like to set a state. That logic only we're going to test it, whether it is working as per your expectation or not. Okay, that means you're going to split your logic into multiple pieces and test it each piece. Okay, that is what meant it as unit testing. Guys, advantage with the unit testing is testing the code. Okay, not the functionality. Getting? So when you click on a button, whether it is giving proper input or not, that's it. Okay, whether it is a right input or not, you can't justify. You got it?
Yep.
Okay. So please respond. So advantage of a unit testing, the behavior of a logic is working as per your written. Okay, that is what. But the logic what you written as per functionality or not, that's not with the unit testing. Further, again you need to write the functional testing. You need to write the functional testing. But the good practice is that whenever you write some logic, is it meeting your functional logic also or not? If you do in that way, right, obviously it will help you. Okay, we will see that. Okay, how to write.
Is it same for a vanilla JavaScript or maybe using with react.js? Unit testing is same, right?
Same for every language. It's same for a Java, it's same for a .NET or vanilla JavaScript. Everywhere it's same. Unit testing concept is same.
Okay, got it.
Sir,
So,
we have
the way of a writing might get differ from one library to another library, but the concept wise, unit testing is same.
Okay.
Got it? Any questions?
We have component testing also there, right? For react.js, what is the main difference between unit testing and component testing?
No, there is no concept of component testing. What do you mean of a component testing?
In my company, some of the developers are using component test cases to test whole component like API calls.
There might be using the end-to-end testing, but there is no such concept called component testing. So component testing. Okay, fine. So let's get started. Okay, unit testing. Okay, fine. If you understand this code, right, what we are doing here, we just showing an add numbers. Okay, we are mentioning here two variables, accept the two variables and return the sum of the two variables. Okay, now let's see if you write a unit test cases, right, adding a positive numbers. Okay, so expect, that means when I call this function, okay, I'm expecting what? That is what you need to mention is expect. Okay, so now we are calling this function 2, 3. Okay, so now what is expected output, guys? When you pass the 2, 3 with the help of this function, what would be the expected output?
5.
Okay, 5. That what we are going to test it here. Okay, so let's say if this is getting passed, fine, you will get a result. This is got passed. Okay, so let's say if you mention here as a 4, will it get pass or fail?
It should be fail.
It should fail. As well as the advantage of this, right? Let's say someone written like this. So they don't know the business logic. Okay, someone written like this. Okay, let's say you written A plus B, but later on some other developer came and they changed this one. Okay, with this logic. Now existing test cases will fail or pass.
It should fail.
Okay, it will fail. Okay, now when it is failing, whether the developer will get to know or not. Boss, earlier use case is this. But now as I changed this one, okay, now the test case is failing. Yes or no? In that case, does the developer will get to know what is existing behavior with my changes, what is got affected? Will you be able to get to know or not?
Yes.
Okay, that's the advantage of what? Unit testing. Okay. So let's say if it is intentional change, if it is unintentional change, obviously you'll revert the code change. Okay. So if it is intentional change, right, what we need to do? We need to
have to change the
update
value.
our test case also. Okay. We need to update our test case also. Let's say a plus b. What is output? 8. Okay. So this is what our developer responsibility. Okay. If you're writing a new code, write your new test cases. If you're writing existing code, if it is existing behavior, okay, if you're overriding something, don't touch it. Okay. So otherwise, if it is, new logic or is it is expected, okay, update your test cases also. Okay. That's what you need to do. Okay. Cool. So fine, we understood some basic about what is unit testing, what is the advantage of unit testing, how to run test cases. That part we'll see now. Okay, how to run the test cases. Very simple, guys. So when we created a project, okay, so create React app. Okay, so by default it will give you, flexibility of running your test cases also. Okay, so how you can start your server, that's the first step. Okay, if you want, you can start. Otherwise, right, you can directly run the test cases. Okay, how can you run? Simply by using npm run test. What is that command? Npm run test. Now do you see? So we have a one file called app.test.tsx. That means the test cases what you will write, that's supposed to be extension of what? .test.tsx. .test.tsx. Now we'll see once. Okay, so what it contains. Test.tsx, you see. Okay, so we have one test command. Okay, so render the app, and it is just checking the whether the learn react is there or not in your DOM. Learn react is there or not in your DOM. That's what it is checking. Okay, so let's say here I mentioned Venkat. Okay, now what it will do? It will look for Venkat in a DOM. Venkat in a DOM. Okay, now will it my test case get pass or fail? It will fail. We will discuss, guys. I'm just showing you how it will execute. So once you got some idea how it is executing and how we are going able to run, I'll detail about it. What is required to run this? Cool. Now you see it got failed. Why? Because in a UI you don't see a Venkat. Okay. So earlier what we have, we mentioned here, learn React. Learn React is there in your DOM. That's able, in that case, right? Test case got passed. But now it's unable to get passed because we changed the text. Our expectation is different now. Okay. This is how you can. Okay. This is how you can validate your test case. First of all, to write a test cases, what else is required? Okay. By default, React CRE will provide all the testing tools, or do we need to add something? Okay, to answer that, right? Yes, we need to add. Sorry, we don't need to add by default, right? So when you go with the create React app, you by default in your package.json, right? You'll get these dependencies. You see, testing library. Okay, earlier, right? So before this testing library, we used to go with Jest and engine. Jest and engine. When we have this testing library, React testing library, right? So everyone started using this React testing library because it has the benefit of interact with the DOM also. Interact with your DOM also. Okay. In short, you don't need to add any dependencies. Okay. So to run our unit test cases, right, we require a Jest and a React testing tools, a React testing library. Okay, these two are required by default. Okay, when you go with the create React app, it will contain automatically. You don't need to do any step. Okay, so clear. I'll give some glimpse. What is this Jest? What is this testing library? Okay, anyone have an idea on Jest? Okay, so how do you write a test cases in Angular? Anyone? I see some Angular developers here. Okay, so in Angular, right? So we used to go with the Jasmine and Karma. Okay, so but when it comes to React, okay, we used to go ahead and use the Jest and testing library. What is this Jest? What is this testing library? Jest is, you know, a testing framework. Okay, so Jest is what? A testing framework which will help you, okay, to run your test cases. To run your test case. What does mean of it? Now you are able to see, right? Okay, so what is the test? How it is running? That is with the help of your Jest only. As well as that, you know, you can see the code coverage also. You can see the code coverage. Okay, how to see the code coverage? You can just run npm run test hyphen coverage. What is this code coverage? Okay, so when you run your code, you know, let's say you write 100 lines of a code. How many lines it got covered? Okay, so those all the stuff, right? You can see in code coverage report. This is also given by your Jest. This is also given by your Jest. Now, if you see here, right? You see, you have a totally 3 files: app.tsx, index.tsx, report webvital.ts. In all of them, okay, app.tsx got, you know, 100 statements. 100 statements of a branching and functions and lines got covered. Okay, lines got covered. So who is giving this kind of a report? With the help of Jest only. Okay, because it's giving a, you know, in a platform to run your test cases, as well as some built-in functions to run your test cases. Okay, that's what simply with Jest. Okay, so not only on a command prompt, if you go to and see in a browser also, right, or in your code also, okay, you see we have a coverage folder. Okay, inside a coverage folder, you can go to index.tsx. You see index.html, which contains the all the report again, not only in a command prompt. Okay, so it will generate a coverage folder. Okay, there you used to see what are the lines which is covered. Okay, so you can see in that way. Okay, if you see everything is in a green, that means it's got covered. So sometimes, right, so some part would be, you know, in a red color. Okay, let's add something. Let's creating a function get name equal to return name. Done. Okay, I created a function. Okay, but I'm not calling anywhere. Okay, I'm not calling anywhere. Now we'll run the code coverage again. We'll see. Okay, how many lines of code coverage will get it? You see now, statements of 66, branching point of it's good, but functions, you see the code coverage got reduced. Okay, now if you go to the report again, do you see the red one? What is the meaning of a red one? You have a function, but you're not calling it. That means it's not getting covered. Okay, so that's the advantage of your, again, with your Jest, which will give the code coverage and detailed report of it. So you can go to your code and get work.
So here, what is the 1x?
Oh yes, 1x, and you'll get a 2x, 3x also. That means how many times it got called. Okay, let's say you're calling a get name function multiple times and you click on a button, so then you'll get a 2x or 3x.
Okay.
Okay, that's what it shows. Now tell me, as you are, most of them are working employees, right? In your company, what is the minimum code coverage percentage? Code coverage percentage?
Based on client requirements, actually in my company.
Yeah. So it's all depends on organization. 0. Good. So you know, it depends on a client or it depends on a company. You know, it's all let's say in an average, right? 80 to 90% is, you know, good recommended code coverage. Okay, that means the number of lines, right? It's supposed to be, you know, minimum of 80 to 90%. Depends on a client. Okay. Yep, obviously. So, you know, when you're working, someone messaged in chat, you're not getting time for testing. Obviously, when you're working on, you know, business logic to implement it, right? Go for a, you know, business logic only. We don't get a time. Okay. Later on, right, when you want to make it a stabilized, then we'll write a UTs. Okay. It's all depends on a company and even the product or even the client. Okay, cool. But on a standard way, right, 80 to 90% is recommended code coverage. Sometimes, right, so we try to get the 100%, but it's not possible. Okay, there would be some corner cases where you can't try to get the 100% of code coverage. Okay, that's the reason, right, the companies will recommend, okay, write 80 to 90% of it. Okay, cool. So see, one more advantage with this report, right? You can make it in your build configuration. What we used to do, right? So now we are running these test cases. That's our developer responsibility. But in a real time, right, your CI/CD pipeline will take a responsibility of running the your test cases. If it is matching the 80%, your build get passed. Otherwise, right, your build get failed. Okay, that's how, right, we can get to know. So for that purpose, right, if you see here, in a coverage report, you see the XML files or JSON files. Okay, so your CI/CD pipeline will take care of these files and see the response. Okay, what is the code coverage? Accordingly, it will move the build. Okay, clear so far? What is the Jest? Any questions? In short, Jest is a platform to run your test cases, as well as it will give a list of a function which will help you to write your test cases. Yes, Lakshman.
Hi Venkat, good morning. Is this Jest will check duplicate methods also? If something we wrote that way.
It won't. Okay, so in your code itself, when you use a Typescript, you will get errors, right? When you use a duplicate methods.
Yes, that is if
Okay,
in
so this Jest is not going to help.
Okay.
Yep. So next one, right? Any questions?
Sir, here coverage is, I mean, getting from Jest, you are saying, right?
Coverage report we are going to get from a Jest.
Yeah. But here we have used the keywords expect to be those kind of matches. Is also by using Jest.
Yes, this is also from a Jest.
Okay.
Cool. Right. So moving into testing library, this testing library will help you to make your application in an interactive mode while testing. That means, let's say in app.tsx, let's remove this all the stuff. Okay, let's write a h1 welcome. Okay, I would like to test this welcome is there or not in my DOM. Okay, so then I'll replace here. Okay, render the component. So you're supposed to give a meaningful name. Okay, so by using this test, right, it's supposed to be a much more meaningful name. Okay, render component, what I'm telling here, component with welcome text. Done. Now if I run this test, right, okay, so and one more thing, right, when you run the npm run test, it has watch methods, guys. So watch method nothing but it will automatically take your code, whatever the changes when you did it on control S, right, it will automatically get started. Sometimes it will get hang, you just need to press the enter. Okay, now you see your test case is passed. Okay, though we did a change, according to that we added a respective changes in our test case. Okay, let's say we have a button. Okay, click here. Okay, so now on click, I'm calling a get name. I'm calling a get name. Now in a get name, right, I'm using my state name dot set name equal to use state. By default values, I'm giving a Venkat. Now whenever you click on this get name, I'd like to update with Lakshman. Okay, right, use it Lakshman. Now let's say you have a use case like this. Okay, when I click on this click button, okay, when I click on this get click button, so whether my set state is got updated or not, okay, whether my set state is got updated or not, whether it is able to display it or not in my DOM, okay, whether I'm able to display it in my DOM, okay, that is what which you can cover or which you can test it with the help of testing library. Okay, with the help of testing library. You mean, so I mean this kind of interactivity stuff. Okay, let me open this official documentation, get a better idea. What is this, guys? Testing library is what? A simple and complete testing utilities that encourage the good testing practices, especially for your DOM, guys. Okay, especially your DOM. Okay, so the click actions or API calls kind of a logic, right? You can get it with this testing library. Okay, so we'll see. So how to write the test cases for this button. So that part also we'll see. Okay, so clear on it? These two libraries.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So yep, so we discussed on it. So when we are running, when we create a React project itself, you'll get automatically your test cases. You can just go ahead and use it. To detail about this process, right? It is mentioned here. You can go and see. Okay, anyhow, I'll share this PPT. So who are joining the WhatsApp group, right? You'll get this PPT, guys. So please join in that WhatsApp group. Okay, the link is in chat group. Okay, which contains some information actually. So that means, right? So the file supposed to be .test. Okay, so that whole information, right? You'll get it from here. Okay, next one. So what are we need to cover when we are writing unit test cases? Okay, so first, right? So let's say what it contains, any component. Someone can tell me what you need to test. What your component going to contain in a generally? Anyone?
The component generally contains the UI part.
UI part. So can be some text box would be there, or a change of a text box. So you will update your state. Okay, or there would be some button, and click on a button. You might call an API. Okay, so based on a response, you'll re-render your component. That could be a use case. Or you take your parent component function, call it your child component. Okay, or you will take your parent data and render it in your component. These are the common use cases, right? When you go with the React. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so this all the stuff, right? We need to do a unit testing. Okay, so whatever you do it in a component level, everything you need to do a UT. Okay, so okay, this is fine. What we not to do? Okay, so what not to test? As we have a possibility to test. Okay, so do we need to test everything?
No.
Okay, what we should not test? Let's say you are using a third-party library. Can be AJS, can be React chart. Okay, so can be something else. So do you need to do a unit tests for that one also?
No, it's already tested by those vendors. No.
Okay, of course, those that is tested or not, that is our no problem. Okay, we should not test it. Why?
Actually, they should already test it in.
It is difficult to test.
Or not, that's not our problem. Okay, so we need to write testing for our use cases. Okay, why we need to test their business logic in our use case? Okay, that's not actual one, right? Okay, so that's the reason, right? We should not test our third-party libraries. Okay, or some other implementation, right, which is owned by upstream partner. Sometimes, right? So you have upstream partner, they'll give us some function to you or some hook to you. You are calling that. Okay, now in your point of view, you are calling it. That's fine. You need to test whether you're calling it or not, but not the actual implementation of that hook.
Sir, I don't know exactly. Your voice is very low, sir, sometimes. Actually. Very, very low. We are unable to hear. Oh, no, it's some better.
Okay, now I think it would be better.
Yes, now it's clear.
Okay. So again, I'm repeating that, so you can go ahead and test your piece of a code, what is specific to your component. Okay, not everything. Okay, so if you have such cases that your third-party libraries or your some hooks which is given by your upstream partner, those all the stuff, right? It's not required to test. Okay, you can test whatever which is needed in your component, like mentioned here. Okay, this is one you can go ahead and test. Okay, cool. Now, so we discussed on this. So whenever you run this command, right, npm run test, okay, hyphen coverage, you'll get the report. Okay, you'll get the report. Cool. Now, we'll discuss some brief about, again the Jest. Okay, again the Jest, and then we'll discuss about React testing tools, sorry, testing library. Then we'll write the test cases, as per our need, right? So whatever which we can cover, we'll cover. Okay, so first of all, Jest. So in a Jest, right, we have the concept called matchers. We have the concept called matches. What is this matches? Okay, nothing but in your code, right? Okay, if you observe, so we are doing a expect logic. We are doing a expect logic. Okay, let's say I'll do here expect. Just for example, guys, Venkat. Now to be equals. Okay, to equal to Venkat. So this is one way of writing a text case. So what we are doing here, so this is your received, this is your expected. Okay, just understand this one, guys. So this is what you got it from your business logic, and this is what you are expecting to return it. Okay, nothing but let's say you have a variable name equal to Venkat. Now you are testing that logic whether that is equal to Venkat or not. Okay, let's say if I give this one, will it my test case is fail or pass?
It will fail.
It will fail. Okay, because so what I'm expecting to be equal Venkat 1, but what I got it, it's a Venkat. Now you can see in your developer tools, yes, it's got failed. So you received Venkat, but expected is what? Venkat 1. Okay, Venkat 1. Now if you see here, we written this one, right? This is what technically we call it as matchers. Okay, we have many of a matchers actually. Okay, while writing a test cases, it's up to you. So you can write it to be defined also. What does mean of a to be defined? So you are not checking the value, you are checking that whether the value is there or not. Okay, so that is what to be defined. Now this test case will pass or not?
It will pass.
But is it a valid test case?
No.
Okay, you see your test case got passed. Okay, and next one, so let's say you write a expect name okay to be let's say I'm checking length here, length to be okay. What is the length? It's a 6 characters, right? I'm saying 6. Okay, now this test case will pass or fail?
Pass.
Pass.
Okay, it will pass. Okay, this is how, right, you will write your test cases. You see similar use case or the similar name Venkat, how we written with the help of different matchers. Okay, it's all depends on a use case. Let's say you have a list of an array, you can't test everything, right? You just need to test whether the array is rendered or not. Okay, with the respect to values. That means you need to check whether the array is there or not. That is your use case. Then you need to use to be defined. Let's say you are expecting, based on input 200 records, you need to check the length of array. Okay, so that means you have a many of a matchers. All matches you can use according to your requirement. Okay, according to your requirement. So these are the list of matchers. What is that? To be equal to not. That means reversing an action. That means what I can say? Not. Now will it pass or fail?
Fail.
It will get fail. You see, it got failed. So you are saying what? So expect not 6. You got a 6, then it is failing. Okay, this is how, right, we have a many of a matches. Technically we call it as matches. To be defined, to be null. Okay, you're expecting, whenever you're writing a test cases, right, you're supposed to write a positive or negative. Okay, so when it say positive, whether you're getting expected result or not. When it is a negative, if you don't give a proper input, it is not returning any data or not. In that way also you need to test. Okay, is either to be greater than or not. Okay, to be less than or not. In this way, right, we have a many of a matchers. Okay, we have a many of a matches. Any questions on matchers?
All these matches are documented, sir, in their Jest website.
Yes. Okay, it's documented. So these matches almost same for even if you go with Angular or even go with a Vue, it's the same because these are inherited from your Jasmine and Karma only. Okay, Cool. Next one, what? Queries. Okay, in a testing library, right? We have the functions called queries. What is these queries? Okay, what is these queries? So now let's say when it is rendering in a browser, right? Are you running the application? Yep. So when I click on this click, right, you see the original value got changed into Lakshman. Okay, what is the original value? Venkat. Now if I would like to access that Venkat, how can I access? Okay, anyone from JavaScript, if I would like to access that value, okay, called Venkat, how can I access?
Document
Document get element by ID or class, different ways. How about in a unit testing? How do we do that? Okay, that's what our React testing tools does. Okay, so how we play in our regular JavaScript, right? So because you can't say, okay, I'm going to use a JavaScript in a React. Why?
because it is very difficult to use the JavaScript.
Okay, so in a React, right, so it has its own mechanism to maintain your DOM. If you come on with some hack of a JavaScript and say I'll do some other manipulation, it won't accept. That is not a good standard. So that's the reason, right? So you can't use the JavaScript. Okay, so that's the reason, right? This React testing library will help you. Okay, so what is this? If you see, right, how you have a get element by ID, similar way we have a get by text, get by label text, get by placeholder text, get by test ID. Okay, these all will help you to capture that. Okay, so whatever element which you're looking for, okay, so according to you can write a test cases. Okay, you can write the test cases. So that is what get by. And next one is a find by. Okay, someone can read it for me. What is this find by?
Yeah, these queries are used.
Vinod, let's give a chance for others. Let's see how people are interacting.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone?
These queries are used to get elements asynchronously. They return a promise that resolve when the element is found or times out after the
Speak loudly.
Yep.
These queries are used to get the elements asynchronously. They return promise that resolve when the element is found or times out after the specified period.
Okay. So what you understood from this? Anyone?
I mean, it is used to get the element
Asynchronously.
Asynchronously. Now tell me the React guys, is the set state is asynchronous or synchronous?
Asynchronous.
Yes. Okay. Now on a click on a button, we got a data that is asynchronous. So we need to wait for it, right? Okay. So we get a data, but it will take some time. Of course, we don't see it in a UI, but internally it takes some time. We need to wait for it until we get the data or not. That's what meaning of this find. Let's say how you have the get by text. Okay. Similar way, right? We have the find by text. Okay, find by test ID. Okay, that means to handle asynchronous logic, we go with this find by logic. Okay, got it? Got an idea? What is testing tools and all?
Yes.
Okay, now let's write the test cases. Okay, so far what we are familiar, so we have a test case which is built-inly given by the our React CRA. So we just written a test case that okay, welcome is there or not. That's what we written. Now, so as we implemented what on a click on a button, we are changing the name. Now we'll write two test cases. One, whether by default name is there or not. That is the one test case. Other test case, when you click on this button, okay, is the change in the name is changing it or not? That is a test case. Got it? Any questions on a test case? You understood, right?
Yeah.
First test case is what? Whether the name is rendered properly or not, okay, as the default value. Next one, on a click on a button, the value is getting changed or not as per our expectation. That part we'll see now. Cool. Go to the app.tsx. Okay, so I'm just copying the same one. Okay, what is the first one? Render component or is name. or the good practice is that right name supposed to be start with should component render with default name as Lakshman. Okay, what is the default value which you given?
Venkat is a default.
Venkat, right? Okay, I'm saying that Venkat. Okay, should component render with the default value name as Venkat. Okay, now so I can go into DOM as it is a default value, right? I can directly use the Venkat. Okay, or this is a regular expression. Of course, you can directly use the Venkat also. Okay, Venkat. So this is just for testing, right? I'm commenting it. Done. Now I'll go to my command prompt and run. Let's see whether it will get run it or not. Yep. Okay, 2 test cases got passed because in my DOM I'm able to see. Okay, Venkat. Let's see. Okay, if I change this Venkat into something else, right? The test case will pass or fail.
It will fail.
It will fail because in my test case I'm expecting Venkat supposed to be in a DOM. It's got failed. Okay, you see, it got failed. Why it got failed? Here you see the whole DOM, right? How it is rendering. Okay, Venkat ASDF. Okay, this is what it is coming. Okay, but we are looking for Venkat. That's the reason it is failing. Fine. So we are good with the default value. What is the next test case? So the component should render. Okay, or component name should update on click on. Okay, click button on a click on a button. Done. Now we need to click the button. Okay, so for that, right, you can use the data test ID. What is that? Data test ID BTN. Okay, so specific for unit testing. Okay, of course you can select by using a label also or by using a role also. Okay, but it's recommended that you can use the test ID. Someone has a question, sir. Can we try with the one int one string? Yeah, one int. What do you mean that? Shubham?
So like if we are expecting one, but we set it with string one. So will it pass the test or it will fail the test?
So there you need to write your test cases. Okay, to be equal to you need to convert your logic. Okay, we'll write the test case. Okay, good one. Okay, so now we would like to access this test ID. Okay, so how can we access? Okay, very simple. We have a screen dot get. Okay, get by test. Okay, what is the test ID which you given? BTN. Okay, BTN. Now we can assign into our variable called button. Now we need to click that, right? So for that, right, we have a user event. Okay, user event dot click of BTN. Okay, now on a click on a BTN, what will happen? Sorry, on click on a button, what will happen? Internally, our logic, okay, this get name will get called, and now this set name going to be updated as a Lakshman. Clear?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Now what is our expectation?
Lakshman.
Okay, it's supposed to be Lakshman. Okay, now tell me, is it a get by text or it's supposed to be find by text?
Get by text.
Get by text.
Why get by text? We discussed, right? Find by text. Okay, now it is asynchronous, right? Your set name. On a click on a button, what you are doing? You are doing a set state. Set state is asynchronous. In that case, you need to use the find. Okay, you need to use find by text. Okay, whenever you're handling asynchronous, then it can be API call or can be your states also. You need to go with the find by text. Okay, now default value with the Venkat. Now what it will do? It goes with this and click on a button and it will check whether the Lakshman is there in or not in your DOM. Now we'll see. It is failing. Received has to be object.
Hello.
Sorry, anyone has a question?
No.
Why it got failed?
So find by text gives the return as a promise object, no?
Okay, sorry, I need to use the promise. Yep, good. I need to use the await, but when you use the await, right, it should be wrapped with async. That is the problem, guys. Yes, thanks for correcting. Okay, now we'll see. Yep, now your 3 test cases got covered. Okay, so now again we can go to the coverage report. Okay, you can see everything got covered. Okay, you see, right? 5x, 4x. Why? Because whenever you click on your component get re-render, right? So whenever you write a test case, how many test cases you written? Totally 3 test cases. That means this logic got run 3 times. But why it called only 1 time? Because we written a test case on click. That is only 1 time. That is the reason it's showing 1x. Clear? Okay. So this is how we used to write the test cases. Any questions so far?
Sir, without using await, we can use we can handle the promise by using then also.
Dot then also, that's up to you. But the simpler way is that, right? Go with the await. Okay, because it's there in a recent ES6, it's recommended to use that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, any questions so far?
Sir, here get by test ID BTN. I mean, it will return the whatever the element there, not that element will be written actually.
The test by ID you're talking about?
Yes, sir. And test by ID also something, anything also. If you written the in the about test cases at 17th line, we've written the screen dot get by text Venkat.
Yes.
I mean, whatever the text field element is there, now that element it will return.
Yes.
That method screen dot get by text.
Yes. So what it is doing it, right? It's go to the DOM and it will check whether Venkat is there or not. So it will take the total element. Okay, total element is there. So then it is checking that whether it is there in a document or not. Got it?
To find the H1 element.
Yes, this is the H1 element. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Any other questions, guys? So if you are good, right, let's go with other use case. Abhishek, Lakshman, anyone?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Now, so we are good. So that is, we are able to, create a component, test whether the component is rendered or not. So before state update, after state update, we are able to do. Now, let's go to, nested component. That means we'll take a one nested component. Okay, we'll pass the props, whether the props is properly rendering it or not. So that part we'll see. Okay, cool. Now, okay, let's take a demo component. So inside a demo, I just copy pasted all the files, whatever just came with the index. Sorry, app. I'm removing all the stuff. So here I'm using an index. So naming it as index.test.tsx. Removing it. Now demo. Using a demo. Guys, following any questions so far? So we're almost done, guys. Okay, we'll see 2 more use cases, how to write the UTs for it. Okay. If you have any questions, right? So if there are questions, we can see at the end. Okay, if you have specific to unit test cases, right, you can ask me. Done. We are done. Next one. Import the component. Okay, render component with a default value. Okay, so we don't need all this stuff, right? Because these are the different test case. So what we given a default value here in a demo component, we given a demo. Okay, we can replace here so that we can test whether the component is rendering properly or not. Okay, this user event is not required. So I'm removing all the unnecessary dependencies. So you can go with other approach also. That means you can give a value for demo. Okay, so there is one more thing called exact false. Okay, what is exact false? We'll see now. Okay, good. Good. Let's see whether the test case is getting updated or not. Okay, so we have a demo and which is 100% covered because we haven't done anything. No, that's the reason we got 100%. If you write it, we'll get an issue. Okay, even this test case also got passed. Okay, so what is this exact? What is this exact? We'll see now. Okay, let's say I'm looking for demo 1, 2, 3. Okay, so but here, right, even though I give a only demo, right, it'll get passed because if I don't use this exact false, what will happen? It will look for only demo. Okay, it will look for only demo. Now if you see, right, your test case will get failed. So one got failed. Why it got failed? If you go over here, right, so what you're looking for, you're looking for a demo, but what you got a demo 1, 2, 3. Okay, if you're looking for only some what we call some part of a text, okay, then you can say exact false. That means it should not match with exactly. It's somewhere it's match also, it will get. Got it? Now it will get passed. Okay, fine. Now, so in app.tsx, we'll import this component called demo. Now I'm giving a name here. Let's say whatever name which given. Let's say name. Okay, accepting here as a props. Props dot any. Okay, props dot any. Now whatever name which comes here, that part I would like to display. Props dot name. Okay, props dot name. Now for my better usage, right? Now tell me whether my test case will pass or fail.
Pass.
How it will pass? Because here I'm looking for a demo, but here I'm looking for my parent component. Yes or no?
Yes.
A parent component, whatever name which they given over here, that will come on render here. Can you cross check here? You see what we are doing here? We are passing the name. That means Venkat will pass to demo component. Okay. Now once it comes to demo component, whatever value which pass it over here, that is going to be render. Now in our test case, what we are looking for? We are looking for demo. Whether it pass or fail.
It will fail, sir.
It will fail. Then how to test it? Okay, what is our expectation? Whether the component is rendering with a default value or not, but this value is coming from a parent. Okay, value is coming from a parent. Then how can I validate? Okay, if you see the syntax, right, you observe here, we are passing as a component, yes or no? Okay, that means when you are rendering your component, right, or when you are using here, you can pass the required props also. That means I can say here demo. I can say here demo. Now what will happen? Your component will render whatever props which you're giving here. Okay, nothing but now when you say demo, sorry, when you say name equal to demo or name equal to Venkat or name equal to someone Abhishek. Okay, what will happen? This Abhishek going to be input as to your component, and this is going to replace as Abhishek. Now you know, right, what you are passing it. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, well, testing it, right? Test that one only.
Now it should pass.
Okay, now it will get passed. One failed. Which one is failed? Find by ID Lakshman. Lakshman is there, no? Where we use it? Okay, demo one is everything is passed. Then what is failed? Should component on a click on a button. Should component enter with a default name as Venkat? Or did I change something else?
Sir, why it is by screen.get by test, not by get by class name?
Just a second, please. Okay. Should component enter with a default value called Venkat? This is fine. In app.tss, I named it as Venkat. This is fine. This is failing. Why it is failing? Found multiple element with the text. Okay, I got it. Okay. So problem here, right? Use the get by text. Okay, in our page, right? We see multiple Venkats. Okay, that is the problem. Where I use the Venkat? Here I don't use it, no? Here only I used it. Okay, let's solve this problem by using get all. Get all by text. That means now we'll get all the text, but here, right? You should not text as a to be in a document. Okay, you need to text the length actually. Okay, so that means, right, all the elements you'll get it as array. Okay, that part you need to test. Okay, let's park this one for now. I'm commenting it. Everything got passed because here we are getting multiple times as a Venkat. Okay, that is the reason, right? We got an error. Okay, now it is fine. Okay, cool. Now go to the right. You someone asking use the class name, right? We can. Okay, there's a multiple ways. As I told you, right? These are the filters or the queries. You can use the class name, test ID, or by button. How you have a JavaScript functions, right? Similar way you can. Got it? Cool. Right. We are checking the Abhishek. Abhishek test case also got passed. So again, we can see the code coverage. Yeah. So demo component is 100% code covered. Okay. Right. Now, so let's give a function. Let's give a function, I think, but in app component, we have this get name, right? We'll pass this into our parent component. So our children component. What I'm doing, guys? So this get name function is there, right? That one I'm passing it to my demo component. Okay. Now in a demo component, I'll add a button here, the similar buttons, nothing but, right? So I'm moving the code, okay, from an app component to button component. Props dot get name. Okay. So now if you go and see the UI, right? Okay, so now this Venkat and click is coming from our children component called demo. Okay, now whenever you click on, so what will happen? Your props dot get nothing but your parent function will get called and it will update the value from a Venkat to Lakshman. Now that Lakshman will pass it to my demo component. Now demo component going to be render. Confused or okay, guys? Please respond. I'll repeat it. Okay, because you should have some knowledge on a React, then only you can write it,
Please repeat it.
Yeah, so please respond if you have any questions, right? I'm open, I'll respond to it. Okay, cool. So what I written here, right? Earlier, right, we used to display everything in a app component itself. Now I segregated that code and moved into children component. In a children component, right, if you would like to access your parent data, you can access through props. Okay, now here I'm passing a name and passing a function. Both the things I'm trying to access with the props. Okay, earlier we used to display here, I moved that code. Okay, earlier we used to have a button here, I moved over here. Okay, but how am I able to access? By using a props. That's a simple. Now what will happen? Now whenever I click on this button, I'm calling my parent function. Nothing but this function will get called. Okay, so whenever we call it, we are updating a state. So in a React, right, we have the concept called use state. That is, whenever you update a state, your component will get re-render. Okay, when the component got re-render, so the previous value Venkat turned into Lakshman, that value will pass to your children component. Okay, so the children component will take the value and display it. That is happening here. Somewhat better now.
Yep.
Okay, so good. Now we would like to write a UTs. Okay, what is the UT which we can write it? So far we are good. Okay, we're able to test whether the component is rendering or not. Okay, so that part we are good. Okay, now so in a demo component, so when we click on this, are we able to click or not? Okay, this function is getting called or not? That what we're going to check now. Okay, so now tell me, are we writing a test file for what, the demo or for app? Now at this point of a time, are you writing a UTs for a test for or app file or app component or a demo component? Tell me.
You should write both the components.
If I sorry, come again.
We should write both the components now, app and demo.
Say yes, agree. But at present of a time, right, we are looking for only demo component. Now, when you're looking for a demo component, right, so you need to think in only in a demo point of view only, a demo component point of view only. Okay, so don't combine, demo component, app component. That means to say, let's think that, when I call this demo button or demo component, when I click on that button, so I need to test my app component function is getting called or not. That way, should not write. Getting? Let me tell you again. Okay, let's say you are writing a UTs for demo component. Now, what is our test case? Whether I'm able to click on this button or not. That's the expectation. Okay, so in that case, I should target whether I'm able to click on this button or not. Okay, don't think in such a way. Let's say I clicked on this button. So does my app component get name is getting called or not? In that way, you should not think. Getting? Okay, so don't combine a two component. So point into what component which you are writing for, whether it is getting called or not. Okay, so if you combine it, right, again there is a problem to test it. Okay, at this point, right, it's easy for us because you're updating your component and getting a data, updated value into child component. But sometimes, right, there is no possible to get a updated data to your child component. At that point, right, you'll get stuck. Okay, again I'm repeating, that is, let's say you're in a demo component, on a click on a button, whether you are able to test the or whether you're able to call that function or not, write in that way only. Okay, don't write your test case such as, okay, on a click on a button, so yes, your app component get name is getting called or not, whether it is getting updated or not. Don't think in that way. Don't merge two component UTs in a one file. In short, okay, write test cases specific to the particular file. Got it? Confused?
Yes, sir.
Got it or confused?
Confused. Confused,
Okay,
sir.
cool. Now let's move into this index.tss file, write it. So what is the test case which you would like to write? On a click on a button, yes or no? We already know how to write the test cases for buttons. I'm separating it in a one side one for our better use case. Now tell me how to access this button.
By data test.
By using screen dot get. Let go with a role. You can go with a role also. Okay, role mean it as your button, guys. Okay, if you have many buttons, you can go with a role all. Otherwise, right, you can go with a button. Okay, button constant. Okay, btn. Now, what is our expectation? User event. Why it is not coming? User event dot Okay, click. Okay, of a button. Now, so we just want to check whether this function is getting called or not. Now, right, as we are rendering both the components, your parent function will get called. Okay, you'll get updated data also. We can check that one also. Okay, but every time you'll get Abhishek only because we are passing a name, right? Okay, let's check. Render the component, or you can write saying that should component or should get name function call on click on button. Okay, we'll see now. Yep, everything is passed. So how it got passed, guys? Every time we are passing Abhishek only, no, while rendering a component. That's the reason it's getting passed. Okay, so otherwise, right? So usually what will happen when you click on this button, your parent function will get called. There we used to get a Lakshman, but still here we are passing as Abhishek only. That's the reason, right? It's getting passed. But here we are unable to test whether it is getting called or not, right? So for that purpose, we need to write mocking. Okay, instead of a writing or instead of a calling actual function, right? We can write our own function. Let me write it for you. So function get name mock equal to, Jest will provide a one more built-in function, Jest function. This is what, okay, you can pass as an input. How you are passing get name, right? Similar way you can pass. So what you can do over here, okay, you can check whether it is called or not. To have been called. Okay, in this way you can check. Let's see now. So what we are doing here, so on a click on this button, whether this function is getting called or not. This is a mock function, guys, not actual function, not the actual function. So in this way, what you can do, right? Let's say in your parent function, you return a API call. You return a API call. So those kind of logics, right, which you can pause over here itself and get it mock function. You just want to test whether the function is getting called or not. That's it, right? Okay, so by using this just dot function, right, you can solve the problem. Now you can see. Okay, it got passed. Okay, it got passed. So let's say I removing this. Okay.
Venkatesh, I have a small query. Can I ask?
Tell me.
Actually,
Or hold on. Let's complete this. Okay. So
sure.
okay, I'm removing this on-click logic, guys. Now, if I remove this on-click logic, so will my test case pass or fail?
It will fail.
It will fail. Why? Because what I am expecting here on a click on it, this function is supposed to be called. Okay. So now we are written that we remove that on-click logic. Okay. Now our test case should get failed. Now do you see? Okay, it got failed. Expect to be called. Okay, how many times? At least one number of time, but how many times it called? 0 times. Okay, in this way you can write the test cases. Okay, so one for what? Your parent component, and then for your child, and another one. So you can call your parent function by just doing a mocking. Okay, why should not do a actual function call? Because your actual function can contain a API call also. Okay, which will hit directly API. Now tell me, so is it good practice to call an API from a command prompt or by using unit test cases? What is the problem if you call the API from a unit test cases?
It will fetch the data.
It will fetch the data. That means, you are making automated. So whenever we, press the enter a space here, your UTs are running. Okay, so programmatically you can hit the API. API will go to the DB, get the data. Let's say you have a post data or post API. What will happen? It will go to the API and the API will register the data or insert the data. So programmatically you are hitting many times. Okay, so that will create a problem. Okay, so that's the reason, right? So never ever call the actual APIs. Never ever call the actual APIs. So in that cases, right, we need to go with either mocking or stubbing or spying. Okay, so that is what we need to think about it. Okay, right, you can ask me a question now, Kevi.
Actually, here at 13th line, screen dot get by role is there now. I mean, we are getting the buttons, whatever the buttons are there in the UI, we are getting those buttons naturally.
Yes.
But if greater than one button is there, at that time it will return the list. I mean, array.
Yeah, it will return array. Okay, that's the reason that I told you the good practice go with the test IDs. Test IDs is kind of your IDs. Okay, you never get a duplicate IDs, no. So that's how you can solve. So don't go with, tell me.
But now at the 13th line, it will return array or it will given only one button.
Okay, here you said, right, get by role. Okay, if you want to get the all buttons, no, you need to use the get all by role.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, then it will give all roles. That's you see, it's given error because it is saying HTML element of array. Okay, if you were looking for only the first one, you have to use this syntax.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, cool. Any other questions, guys? Feel boring or okay?
Feel interesting.
Feel interesting, sir.
Okay, cool. Any other questions, guys? Okay, we have one more point. Okay, so that is how to mock an API call. That part we'll see. Okay, so far we covered, how to test the component. Okay, how to test the component, how to test the child component, how to call a parent function. That part we covered. So we'll see how to call an API. Okay, so then we'll wrap up. Cool. Let's create one more component now. I'm naming it as async. Okay, because we are going to write an API call, right? Let's move on. Closing everything, targeting as per async only. Okay, or if you get confused, no, let's name it API component. Okay, naming it as API component. Here I'm using H1 API component. Let's write some API logic first of all. Okay, then see how we can mock it. Oh, sorry. I'll write some logic, guys, so please follow. Okay, if you have any questions in the middle, right, you can ask me. But what is our expectation? We would like to test the API call. Okay, cool. So no CSS, no that thing. Okay, we API component or not exact false. This is the good. Okay, let's use this component in app.tsx. Done. Okay, so in a UI are able to see it or not? API component is not defined. Why? Now we're able to see. Cool. So now API call. How do we do API call, guys? In a React, how do we do API call? What are the possibilities?
By using access or fetch.
By using Axios we can. By using a fetch also we can. Okay, let's use the fetch. Okay, use a fetch. Let's try with Axios also. So for Axios, right, what we need to do? We need to install the package. Okay, we need to install the package. So React Axios. Okay, this is one package. You just need to go through the command prompt and install it. Okay, so other dependencies also you need to install. Okay, let's install all of them. Let's stop the server. Okay, let's install the Axios also. Which API we can call? JSON placeholder API, right? We'll call one. We'll try to get the list of a post. There's 100 posts. We will see. So let's say we'll write it in a on a function constant get data. Okay, Axios dot get the URL. Okay, it will give a data, no, result equal to, okay, I'm just speaking it as await. Okay, await supposed to be wrapped with async. Okay, now we got a data. So I'm going to set my data records, set records equal to use state, which is empty array. It is empty array. Now in a records, whenever whatever data which I'm going to get through, I'm going to set here. Before that, let's see whether it is, what is the response of it. Okay, when I would like to call, on a click on a button, get the data. Okay, now on click of it, get a data, done. So now what we are trying to do? Okay, so we written one function called get data, which will call an API, which will print in a console. When it will get called, on a click on a button. Now go to the browser. Where's our app? Go open a developer tools. We can see in a network. Click on a get data. Yep, the data is called, and you see in a console the whole data. Okay, now let's set the data into our state. Okay, so we'll render this one also. Okay, ul li. So I would like to loop the data. Okay, records dot map of e dot. Okay, so in a data, right, what you would like to display? Title, if you would like to display, go to the title, copy it and use it here. Done. So what is the problem here? It's saying title does not exist and never. That means you need to tell the type here. This is a Typescript. Okay, now we are good. So by default, we don't have any data. That's the reason we are not getting a list. Now when I click on a get data, you see, we got the list. Okay, let's apply some styles. Margin 0 pixel, adding 0 pixel, list style equal to, let's keep the list style, and text align left. Okay, we haven't imported the CSS. That's the reason it's not working. No CSS, right? It is working, but list style is not displaying. Why we removed it? No. Let's give us some margin left. I think it's moved to left. Yep, we are displaying it. Clear? Any questions? Any questions on the logic? What I have written? Just very simple, guys. So what I written, right? Now I created a button. On a click on a button, I'm calling an API. So whatever data which you are getting it, right? So that is what I'm looping over here. Okay, that is very simple. Now we would like to write the test cases. Okay, so how it is working, right? That is what we would like to test. Okay, so first of all, we'll check whether the component is rendered or not. That is easy, no? So right, guys, so 3 test cases, guys. First of all, component is rendered or not. That is the first one. Second one, okay, so how many records we got it? Okay, how many records we got it? Okay, nothing but if you call an API, this L is supposed to be looped, right? Yes or no? Guys, following?
Yeah.
Okay.
Following.
Okay, so what is your expectation? Whenever we got a data, this L is supposed to be looped. Okay, L is supposed to have a more than a 2 records or 1 record. Then only we feel that we got a data. Okay, and third one, right? So we should not hit. Okay, third one, we should not hit the actual API. Why?
It's I mean, we should not. I mean, it's impact the database actually.
It impacts the database. Okay, so how do we do that, right? That part we're going to see now. Okay, first of all, component is render or not. We'll go to our test file. Okay, we already written that is okay. API camp or the component. So in this way we can get to know. Okay. KV, if you are speaking, your voice is breaking. Cool. So next test case is what? How many records? How many records? Okay. So how we'll get to know how many records? First of all, we should click, right? Okay. That means we'll write a test case before a button click, after button click. Okay. Should get empty response before clicking the button. Okay. Now, so what we can do? Okay. So what we can do, guys? So we can give here the test ID or class name. Okay. Test ID equal to list. I'm giving a list. Of course, you can go with a role also. Okay. What I'm doing here? Screen dot get all by role. When you go with a role, right? You need to say list item. Okay. Now this link should not be in a DOM. Yes or no? So if you don't click no, it should not be in a DOM. That's the test case. Okay, what we are doing, guys? So before clicking on a button, we should not get this list in our DOM. Okay, that's what we're written here. We are looking for the list ID, nothing but this li. Okay, of course you can go with the test ID also. If you want to go ahead with the test ID, right? What you can do here, you need to replace dot get test ID. Okay, here you need to tell the list. Okay, so here we mentioned not, that should not present in a DOM. Now we'll see whether test case is getting passed or failed. Oh, I'm starting server, that's wrong. npm run test. There is a problem. Syntax cannot use import statement. Yeah, for this one, no, we need to update our package or JSON. Okay, as we are using a third-party library, right? We need to update it. Okay, let's Google it. There is a one logic which you need to update our package or JSON. Not an issue. This not this. Let's try this once. Type equal to module. We have an issue, guys. So what is that? So when you put it Axios, right? We got that. It's scrolling up. We got this syntax error. Cannot use import statement outside a module. That is the problem. Okay, we're trying to solve it. So we need to add a one dependency in a package or JSON. I missed it. Just npm test JS and Bible represent by default it would be there. This one. Let's add this. Module.export. This is also not good. Is it just config? No, we are not in just config. Package.json, right? Just the present replay with just event. Babel src export. Not this. Babel comparison, not this. Not finding the right resource, guys. Let's try this. Out of the box, create replica only supports the Jest options. We given something else also. Okay, let's do one thing. One of a project, right? I already added. Let's copy that. Which project I added? Yeah, this is the one. Let's copy and paste it here. Okay, let's start this server. Why it is taking this much of a time? One is failed, that's fine. But we don't see error, right? So earlier we got that Axios error. Now we don't see error. Okay, one is failed. Why it is failed? For which reason? Okay, it's looking for a test. Unable to find the element list ID. Okay, so that's a problem. That's fine. So why, guys, following? So why it is showing an error? What it's saying? Unable to find the get all test by list. So it's not there in a DOM, no. How it will come? Okay, as per our logic, so we given a default array is empty. That means this won't even a render. Okay, won't even a render. That's the reason, right? It's giving a error over here itself. Okay, then how to meet this test case? Let's go with the list item and see. I think this will also give an error. We'll see once. This is also failed. Get role list item we are looking for, but that is not there in a DOM. Okay, that's the reason it's failing. What we can do now? We'll write a test case such as to be not defined. Okay, that means it should not be defined. Okay, that means it's supposed to be error, right? So we'll see now. It's giving error test case, right? So we are checking whether some error is there or not. Okay. Again a problem. Get role itself. Here itself we are getting undefined. No, we can't test this one. How? ULLI. Get role. This all won't be persist because by the time itself it's not there. Okay, we'll try to get from a list. To be in document. We'll see once. Okay, once it got passed, no, we'll see other alternative how we can get the that output. Again, one is failed. Okay, we got the list UL. Okay, here to be in document. We use the all, right? That's the problem. Now we'll get it. We got passed. Dot child nodes. Okay, to be 0. Okay, what we are doing? We are checking the child node. Child node is nothing but the nested elements. Okay, nested elements supposed to be 0. What we are checking? Expected received. This is empty array. No, that is fine. We'll give empty array. Got it, guys? So what we are doing? So we are taking this UL. Okay, we are looking for the nested element. Nesting element nothing but li is supposed to be there. Okay, so here when we are going with before clicking on a button, we'll get a empty array because no records found. Okay, now we'll see on a click on a button whether we're able to get the more than empty records or not. We'll see now. Okay, how to click it? So constant button equal to screen dot get by role. Okay, what is that button? Now user event dot click. What is that one? Button. Now once we clicked on, so it should not be what I'll say. It will give a whole records, right? Let's use this. No, we already have ID, right? List item. We can test it by using that. Or let's use the same thing. We already done in this way, right? We'll get it, and this will fail now. We'll see once. Two is failed. Serialized to the same string. Does it print out what hot PI call? We clicked on the button, we got it. We clicked on a button, it's supposed to go and print the console. Should get a record, should get a response after clicking on a button. Which is failing here? Should get a both the use cases we got empty. Serialize the same string. Okay, let's use this is making more, let's use this one now. Let's comment this. Which one is failed now? should get response after click on a button. I commented it, right? How it is getting render? Okay, let's find. Okay, we clicked on. Now everything should get passed. Everything got passed. So now we need to see one thing. Okay, so that is wanna click on this button, get role, user click on a button. Now wanna click on a button, so this should get call. Okay, this should get call and render, right? So as well as right, we'll see the list item is getting render or not. Okay, so how we can see? Not that. Okay, find by role. Let's say go with the role. What is that? List item. Screen dot constant list data equal to. Okay, now what I'm doing, expecting list item to be in document, not this, to be in document. That means whenever I click on this button, we should call this API. That API need to give a response, that we need to set in a set records, that records need to be mapped. Okay, so when it got mapped, right, so that's supposed to be there in a DOM. Okay, that part which you are checking it, we'll see now. So along with that, find by role supposed to have a await. Okay, and should with async. Let's see now. Okay, one is failed. Okay, we got many. You see the DOM. Okay, so once we click on, right, we see a lot of them are displaying in a DOM. But what is the problem? Find by role list is the problem. Why it is the problem? It should come, right? Or let's use this test ID. Okay, li. I'm just using li. Now here I can use get by test ID. What is that? li. Again fail. Why it getting fail?
It's not a promise. It's not a promise.
Unable to find the element by test ID li. It's there, no? What is the problem? Still it is failing. This is fine. Should get response now. Not even we didn't get a response. Hit by test ID. We written a test ID. Okay, so here it is li. Okay, we didn't get a data. npm run test again. I'm doing it. Failed. That's fine. Now we didn't get a data. Earlier we got a data at least.
No, actually, we can't use the await now before the test by.
Why? So we are looking for no. Sorry. See, first of all, this is wrong. What I need to use? I need to use the find, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I need to use the find.
నేను అదే చెప్దాం అనుకున్నా just miss it.
Yeah, so you see, right, the practical problems. Sometimes we over exaggerate, right? This will happen. So we are looking, using a wrong method. Now it should work. Let's see. Okay, one is failed again. Why it is failed? We got the data, that's fine. What is the reason of failing? If this is intentional, use all by, that's fine. Let's try with some other element. Anyhow, we got the problem. Okay, screen dot role, get by role is the list item. Okay, to be in a document. Let's see. I'm missing it again. What I wrote earlier, find by all role. Okay, I'll get the list item. Okay, now to be in a document.
But Venkat, here list item will give the array of the
Received received has type of array. Now to be in a document. Let's say we'll use array dot to be defined. Then it should get passed now. Finally, okay, what we are checking, it's not actual test case, guys. Actually, what we are doing, so we are trying to get the whole data and checking whether the first element is defined or not. So when you have a record, then first element will be defined, no? Okay, that's how I am testing it. Clear?
It's clear.
Okay, fine. So that's it, guys. So what we did, right? So we call an API. Okay, so whether we're able to get the data or not, that's what we tested over here. Okay, any questions so far? But you see, right? So how we are able to debug it, how we are able to test it. Okay, whatever the challenges when you're writing a own hand code, whatever which we can get it. Okay, how we can mimic the other ways of it. Okay, this is how, you know, in our regular session also do. Okay, so you know, we are starting a new batch. You can tell your friends, okay, or your colleagues, even you know, based on your interest, you can also get joined. Okay, so that's all for the, you know, today's session. If you have any questions, right, you can ask me. Sorry.
No, what are the topics we will cover in those training? I mean, from scratch, HTML, CSS, JavaScript.
Okay. So I'll give you some glimpse about the course, guys. Okay, first thing, right, we'll start with the HTML and CSS. Okay, and we'll discuss JavaScript. Okay, and then we'll discuss about React and all the, you know, important modules of a React. And as I showed the, right, the projects what we're going to do. Okay, or what we did it in the current project. So similar thing, right, we'll redevelop it with other use cases, not the same what we do. Okay, it's all depends on the persons who joined in a course. Based on their interest, right, we can change our projects. Okay, so that's all about it. And the primarily, right, we are looking for, you know, and we're going with the React.js. As I told you, 80% of our, you know, JavaScript is required. That's the reason, right? So we're going to dig into more, or we're going to spend more time on a JavaScript point of view, not a HTML and CSS. Okay, so in the sense, so we'll discuss HTML and CSS, but more in depth we go into what, our JavaScript and React. Okay, the duration of the course is 2 months. Okay, so I think the price is around 8,000. Okay, and one more thing, right? So you know, our regular batch will go on from Monday to Friday. Okay, that means the new concept. Okay, the new concept, whatever we planned, right? So that we're going to discuss Monday to Friday. And Saturday, it's going to be recap session. Nothing but whatever we discussed from Monday to Friday, no, it would be recap session with a different use cases. Okay, nothing but when we go in a real use cases, right? So we'll have a lot of things. Okay, those what we'll discuss Monday to Friday with a concept, and the same concept, okay, in a fast pace or recap session, which we will discuss with the other use cases on a Saturday. And Sunday would be, right, your project. Okay, Sunday would be project. Okay, nothing but let's say we're done with HTML, CSS, we take a project on it. We done with the JavaScript, we'll take a project on Saturday and Sunday. Okay, especially on a Sunday project, Saturday is a recap session. That's how we're going to plan. Saturdays it would be 2 hours of a session, and Sunday it would be 3 hours of a session based on the number of person voting. Okay, if you did some concept, I'll ask the people, okay, let's take this one. If people are interested in morning time, evening time, according to that we can move on. Okay, so that's some brief about course, guys, what we plan for the from our next third. Any questions?
Sir, it is real time.
Is it purely real time? Okay, I showed you, right, the project what we are doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, and even the test cases, right? So this all are purely real time, not only theory.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? If you have any questions on unit testing also, you can ask me. Can't hear you. Someone is speaking, but I can't hear.
So did you cover the test cases in that course also?
Yes. Okay, we will cover.
Okay, thank you.
Redux is not required.
Redux is required, so we use Redux in our current projects also, right? We used it. If you see in one of our project, right, the configuration I'll show you here. Okay, we use the Redux. You see?
Yeah.
Okay, the project which I showed you, the add to cart, that is built on top of Redux only.
Yeah, state management.
Yeah, by using a state management. By seeing the folder structure, right, you guys can understand. We use the material UI. Okay, we use the context API. We discussed Docker also in the last workshop. Okay, and we use the single page application. Okay, as well as, right, JavaScript. Okay, so everything JavaScript, oops, programming, asynchronous JavaScript, functional programming, those all the things we're going to discuss and get it as some kind of a knowledge. And we by the end you're supposed to show you have a 2 to 3 years of experience. Okay, so that's the agenda of a course. Okay, as I take a interviews, right, I used to ask, okay, and as well as I used to discuss the real-time use cases in an interview point of view also. Okay, cool. Any other questions? So please join in that WhatsApp group. So I'll try to share this PPT in the WhatsApp group. Okay, have any other questions also, right, we can discuss over there.
Tomorrow class same time, sir?
No, there is no further sessions. It's only one day of a workshop. Okay, you might get a Zoom link for multiple days, but it's only planned for 1 day and 2 hours. But as we extended our session, right, because we are into real time. Okay, obviously we'll complete, we can't complete in 2 hours. Okay, we started at 9:30, we're almost 12:30.
Yes.
Cool. Any
Sir,
other?
share the PPT now.
Yeah, you join in the WhatsApp group. Okay, I'll share the PPT.
The WhatsApp group.
You see chat, right?
Can you share? I'm just not seeing it again in the chat.
I'm sharing it. Cool. Everyone, any questions? Cool. Considering no questions. Okay. So thanks for joining, guys. Bye.